Welcome back. Today, we pause to remember the remarkable lives of those who died today. Voices and storytellers whose work shaped generations in ways words can barely capture. From the timeless songwriting of Don Schlitz to the unforgettable presence of Lamonte McClemore, their influence reached far beyond the spotlight. These were not just artists, but architects of emotion, memory, and culture. Though they have passed away, their work continues to echo through every song, every story, and every moment they helped create. Now, let us take a closer look at the lives behind the legacy. Don Schlitz was a legendary American country songwriter born in 1952 in North Carolina, whose words would go on to shape not just songs, but the very soul of storytelling in country music. His journey did not begin with fame, but with quiet persistence, working as a computer operator while writing songs in the background, unsure if anyone would ever truly hear them. For a long time, nothing seemed to break through, until one song changed everything. At just 23, Schlitz wrote The Gambler, a simple story that carried something deeper, something timeless. When Kenny Rogers brought it to life, it became more than a song. It became a voice people carried with them. From there, his path unfolded naturally. He went on to write songs that did not just top charts, but defined artists, from Randy Travis to the Judds. Forever and Ever, Amen, and When You Say Nothing at All became lasting pieces of musical history. His work earned 2 Grammy Awards, 3 Country Music Association Song of the Year honors, 2 Academy of Country Music Awards, and 4 consecutive ASCAP Songwriter of the Year titles from 1988 to 1991, along with inductions into the Songwriters Hall of Fame and the Country Music Hall of Fame. As documented in the USA Legend Archive, his dedication to the craft remained unwavering even when the quiet weight of constant creation grew heavy. In time, he chose to step away, seeking a simpler, more peaceful life. Don Schlitz passed away on April 16, 2026, at the age of 73, following a sudden illness. His songs were never loud, but they stayed, and somehow they always will. Johnny Rodriguez was a pioneering American country music star born in 1951 in Sabinal, Texas, whose voice carried both heritage and honesty into a genre that had rarely heard it before. As one of the first Mexican-American artists to achieve major success in country music, he did not simply rise to fame. He changed what country music could sound like. His journey began quietly. As a teenager, he was discovered for his singing in an unexpected moment, a small turning point that would shape everything that followed. By the age of 21, he had moved to Nashville and signed with Mercury Records, quickly breaking through with a top 10 hit, Pass Me By If You Are Only Passing Through. He followed with multiple #1 songs, including You Always Come Back to Hurting Me and Ridin' My Thumb to Mexico, blending country with Tex-Mex and mariachi influences while singing in both English and Spanish. His success earned Country Music Association nominations and later recognition in the Texas Country Music Hall of Fame, securing his place among the American legends who redefined the landscape of music. But behind the music was a life tested by hardship. He faced personal struggles, legal challenges, and difficult years that could have ended his story. They did not. He kept returning to the stage. He kept singing. Johnny Rodriguez passed away peacefully on May 9, 2025, at the age of 73, after a period of hospice care. His passing followed a decline in health. His songs were never just songs, they were memories, and somehow they still are. Breaking news. At 81, Diana Ross still walks onto the stage with a presence that feels almost untouchable, a living symbol of grace, power, and musical immortality. Yet behind that radiant image lies a question that has followed her through every decade of her life. What did it truly cost her to be seen by the world? The applause has never been louder, the legacy never more secure. Yet when the lights fade and the echoes dissolve into silence, she returns not as a queen, but as a woman who has spent a lifetime searching for something far more fragile than fame, a love that stays, a peace that holds, a place where she does not have to perform to be worthy. Long before she became Diana Ross, she was simply Diane, a young girl born on March 26, 1944 in Detroit. Growing up in a world where stability was uncertain and tenderness could vanish without warning. Her father worked tirelessly, her mother held the family together, yet life was never easy. And when illness struck her mother with tuberculosis, the fragile structure of childhood collapsed in a single moment. Sent away from home at just 7 years old, Diane experienced something that would quietly define her entire emotional life, the feeling of being left behind, of not being chosen, of having love interrupted before it could feel safe. That wound did not disappear with time. It transformed into a silent hunger, a need not just to succeed, but to be seen so brightly that no one could ever overlook her again. In the crowded corridors of the Brewster Douglas housing projects, surrounded by poverty, noise, and uncertainty, she began to build something invisible but powerful, a voice shaped not only by talent, but by longing. Music became her refuge, not because it promised fame, but because it allowed her to exist fully, to be heard in a world that often ignored her presence. At Cass Technical High School, she studied fashion and beauty, carefully constructing elegance as if it were protection, as if she could become beautiful enough, polished enough, the world might finally pause and notice the girl who once felt invisible. But the road to recognition was anything but immediate, as rejection became a constant companion in her early journey with the Primettes, later renamed the Supremes. They auditioned, waited, performed, and were dismissed again and again, standing outside studios, clinging to possibility while reality offered very little in return. When Berry Gordy told them they were too young, it could have ended everything. But instead, it ignited something deeper, a refusal to disappear. For nearly a year, they worked inside Motown without recognition, cleaning floors, singing backup, learning every rhythm, every lyric, every opportunity that passed them by, turning invisibility into preparation. Then came 1964, and with it, Where Did Our Love Go? A song that changed everything almost overnight, lifting them from obscurity into global recognition. The Supremes became a phenomenon, dominating charts, defining an era, and reshaping what success looked like for Black female artists in America. But within that rise, something more complicated began to unfold. As Diana was placed at the center, her voice and image elevated above the others, transforming not only her career, but her relationships. Florence Ballard and Mary Wilson, once sisters in struggle, began to feel the distance grow, and Diana, though shining brighter than ever, found herself increasingly alone within the very success she had fought so hard to achieve. This was the paradox that would define her life. The more visible she became, the more isolated she felt. Fame did not erase her childhood wound, it magnified it, because now she was seen by millions, yet still questioned whether she was truly known by anyone. When the group was renamed Diana Ross and the Supremes in 1967, it marked not just a professional shift, but an emotional fracture, one that would never fully heal, as success quietly replaced sisterhood with separation. Her transition into a solo career only deepened that duality, as Diana Ross became an icon of unmatched influence, with "Ain't No Mountain High Enough" soaring to the top and establishing her as a force beyond any group identity. Her performance in Lady Sings the Blues revealed a vulnerability that critics could not ignore, earning her an Academy Award nomination and proving that her artistry carried emotional depth shaped by lived experience. Yet even as she embodied powerful, complex women on screen, her own identity continued to split in two: Diana the legend, Diane the woman, one adored, the other hidden. And it was within her personal life that this division became most painful, as love entered her world not as stability, but as complexity. Her relationship with Berry Gordy was profound and transformative, but also entangled in power, secrecy, and emotional risk. Their connection brought both opportunity and doubt as whispers followed her success, questioning whether her rise was earned or given, a burden she carried in silence. The birth of her daughter Rhonda brought joy, but also a truth that could not be spoken openly, forcing Diana to live between reality and protection, between honesty and survival. Her marriage to Robert Ellis Silberstein offered the promise of stability, and for a moment, it seemed she might finally build a life where love could remain without condition. But silence has weight, and over time, the unspoken truths within that marriage created cracks that could not be repaired. When it ended, it was not just a divorce. It was the collapse of an illusion she had hoped might save her from the instability she had always feared. Her later relationship with Gene Simmons carried passion, but also consequence, as it fractured a friendship she deeply valued, reminding her once again that love often arrived intertwined with loss. Then came Arne Ness Jr., a man she described as the greatest love of her life, and for a time it seemed that she had finally found the balance she had long searched for. Their marriage, their children, their shared life across continents felt like a restoration of everything she had lost. But even this love could not escape the pattern, as separation came publicly and painfully, followed years later by his tragic passing, leaving Diana grieving not only the man, but the life they had once imagined together. A loss became a language she knew too well, as her mother's passing in 1984 removed the emotional anchor that had grounded her since childhood. The death of her brother, the passing of Michael Jackson, whom she mentored and loved deeply, each added layers of grief that no performance could dissolve. These were not moments the world fully saw, because grief does not always stand under stage lights. It often waits in quiet rooms, in stillness, in memory. By the early 2000s, the weight of decades began to surface more visibly as she faced struggles with alcohol, entering rehabilitation while attempting to maintain the image the world expected from her. In 2002, a public arrest revealed a moment of vulnerability that many were not prepared to see, not because it defined her, but because it humanized her. It was a reminder that even the strongest icons carry unseen burdens, and that performance, no matter how powerful, cannot replace healing. Yet, what defines Diana Ross is not the absence of struggle, but her refusal to disappear beneath it. She returned again and again to the stage, to the music, to the audience, transforming pain into presence and survival into artistry. Her later years have been filled with honors, recognition, and continued performance, but also reflection. But as she stands not only as a legend, but as a woman who has lived through the full spectrum of human experience. Today, surrounded by family, by grandchildren, by a legacy that has shaped generations, she remains both fulfilled and quietly searching. Because the truth that follows her even now is simple and profound. Fame gave her everything the world could offer, but it could not guarantee the one thing she had been reaching for since childhood, a love that remains when the music ends. And yet, After all the losses, the questions, and the years that have taken so much, she is still alive, still standing, still carrying a voice that refuses to fade. And perhaps that is the most powerful truth of her story, that the brightest voice in the room can still carry a silence no one else can hear. Yet that the woman who taught the world how to feel through song was still learning how to hold her own heart in the quiet moments between applause. If her music has ever lived inside you, then her story is not just one to remember, but one to understand. Because Diana Ross did not just rise to greatness, she endured her way there, turning every wound into a note, every loss into a melody, and every unanswered longing into a voice that will never truly fade. And when the final curtain falls, perhaps the greatest legacy she leaves behind will not be the charts she conquered or the stages she filled, but the truth she lived, that even the most celebrated life can carry invisible battles, and that sometimes the strongest souls are the ones still searching for a place where they no longer have to be strong. Because in the end, she did not just teach the world that no mountain is high enough. She showed us that the highest mountain we ever face is the distance between being seen and being truly loved. And perhaps the most powerful truth of all is this: beyond the legend, beyond the spotlight, beyond the silence, she is still alive. Chip Taylor was a songwriter whose music shaped generations, even for those who never knew his name. He was the mind behind Wild Thing, the 1966 #1 hit by the Troggs, a song that would echo through music history, immortalized by Jimi Hendrix in one of rock's most unforgettable performances. Simple, raw, and immediate, it became something larger than itself. Born in 1940 in Yonkers, New York, Taylor built a remarkable career writing songs that found their way into the voices of legends, from Janis Joplin to Aretha Franklin and Frank Sinatra. Angel of the Morning and Try Just a Little Bit Harder further defined his legacy, while his work appeared in more than 200 films and television programs. His achievements were recognized with his induction into the Songwriters Hall of Fame in 2016, and Wild Thing was later honored in the Grammy Hall of Fame. And then, at the height of it all, he walked away. For more than a decade, Taylor left music behind to pursue life as a professional gambler. It was an unexpected turn, but it was not the end. He returned, guided by family and something deeper, and kept creating. As the industry prepares various celebrity tributes 2026 to honor the master songwriters of the past century, Taylor's influence remains a cornerstone of American music. In his later years, he faced serious health challenges, including throat cancer, yet continued to write and record. Chip Taylor passed away on March 23, 2026, at the age of 86, following a decline in health and hospice care. His songs were never complicated. They were true, and somehow, they never left. Lamonte McClemore helped give a voice to a generation that believed in harmony, hope, and change. As a founding member of the Fifth Dimension, he stood behind songs like Aquarius / Let the Sunshine In and Up, Up, and Away, music that did more than top charts. It captured the spirit of an era. Their sound, often called champagne soul, blended pop, soul, jazz, and R&B into something that felt both uplifting and unifying. But that success did not come without tension. At a time when identity in music was deeply tied to race, the group faced criticism for not sounding black enough. McClemore and his bandmates chose not to conform. Instead, they stayed true to their vision, creating music meant to reach everyone, across generations and backgrounds. Before music defined his life, McClemore's path was uncertain. A promising baseball career ended with injury, forcing him to rethink his future. He served in the United States Navy and developed skills as a photographer, a craft he would continue alongside his music career, capturing iconic figures for major publications. Born in 1935 in St. Louis, he carried those early experiences into a career that would earn 6 Grammy Awards with The Fifth Dimension and produced 20 top 40 hits between 1967 and 1973. In his later years, his health declined following a stroke, yet his legacy remained intact. As the world reflects on the famous deaths in 2026, his contribution to the fabric of American music stands as a testament to artistic integrity. Lamonte McClemore passed away on February 3, 2026, at the age of 90, due to natural causes after a stroke. His voice was part of something bigger, and that feeling still lingers. Joan O'Brien was never the loudest star in Hollywood, but she was part of the moments people still remember. Before her name was widely known, her presence was already there, moving quietly through an era defined by charm, romance, and possibility. She rose to prominence in 1959 with Operation Petticoat, starring alongside Cary Grant, bringing a natural warmth that audiences embraced. In 1963, she appeared opposite Elvis Presley in It Happened at the World's Fair, a role that captured the gentle optimism of its time. She also shared the screen with John Wayne in The Alamo and The Comancheros, becoming a familiar face in both film and television during the early 1960s. And then, at the edge of something bigger, everything changed. Personal struggles in 1965 brought her career to an abrupt halt. And just like that, she stepped away. The roles faded. The screen grew quieter without her. Born on February 14, 1936 in Cambridge, Massachusetts, O'Brien began as a singer before finding her place in Hollywood. Though her time in the spotlight was brief, it was not without meaning. She passed away in 2025 at the age of 89, as confirmed by her family, with no specific cause publicly disclosed. Her story was not one of lasting fame, but of lasting presence. And somehow those moments never faded.